Hey everybody, before we begin, I just wanted to make this quick announcement about the podcast. April is National Poetry Month. So, in April, next month, I will be featuring all writers as my guests. More than that, I'm going to be featuring 2 writers a week. So rather than having the weekly episodes, on Mondays, I'll have a writer, and then I'll have another writer again on Thursday. And in the following week, it'll be the same thing. A writer on Monday, a writer on Thursday. So you're getting 2 episodes per week, all April, and they'll all be writers. Some will be poets. Most of them will be poets, but others will be writers of fiction or experimental literature, writers of nonfiction. The idea is just to feature writers and writing craft and to have craft discussions for those who are interested in creating a writing practice or have a writing practice and want to hear how other writers manage their writing practice. So that's what April will be dedicated to. That's sort of going to be the way I celebrate National Poetry Month, and I hope you celebrate it with me. I'm really looking forward to this. I've been curating these episodes since January, sort of reaching out to writers, putting this thing together. And now that they're all been produced, I can't wait for April to come around so that we can all celebrate National Poetry Month together. All right. Thanks for listening, and on with the episode. On with the episode. Oh, on with the episode.
Yo.
All right, man. We're speeding.
Noise.
You're on my podcast now.
I surely am. It's weird being back here in the wintertime.
Yeah. So the idea here is to introduce the audience to you in preparation for the eventual release of this project, which we've been working on for, it seems like, forever. So for those of you out there who are interested in my film work, my guest today is an actor named Tim Halvorsen, and Tim is the lead actor in my upcoming project, FRACTALS. Tim.
Yo.
I have my own memories of how you wound up on this, because this project has a deep history going back to 2017, and at some point I'm going to make all those connections in a future podcast. But this is your episode, so where did this project begin for you? How did you wind up here?
Yeah, so let's see. The first thing, I was on backstage and I saw the listing for Fractals. And I remember seeing that the age listing was like right at the cusp of what I think I could probably pass for. But I read through, and then I printed out a copy of the audition side that you sent, and then sent in a audition tape. And I remember I definitely wasn't memorized for that audition. I was probably looking off my computer. But yeah, I sent that in, and then I'm pretty sure we had a phone call or two, and then you told me that the original guy had dropped out. And then after that, we agreed to meet up here. I came here, and then that was that. And we sort of talked about the project, and then it was like, yeah, it was 3-4 weeks of filming. It was crazy. It was like the first time that I had really spent an extended amount of time in the city. And it was super hot. I remember that scene we filmed on the beach, especially, was really crazy hot. But yeah.
Yeah, it was July. It was July in New York City. Nobody was there. The original cast, yeah, they were all part of the mass exodus from the pandemic. And it was just like, if you can be in the city and like just power through 4 weeks of shooting back to back, we'll have a feature film. And that was it. But yeah, I don't think anybody who submits really is off book. I think everybody's reading from a tablet of some kind.
Yeah.
What kind of projects? I'm interested in kind of the projects you're interested in, and I'm also interested in kind of where you're at and what what you want things to look like for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think at this stage in the game, I'm just trying to do like literally as much as possible. I don't. There hasn't been a case where I've like looked at a script and decided I, really didn't like it and wouldn't submit to it. I think, ideally, probably sometime in the future, I'd like to sort of have that freedom. I think the projects that I really enjoy working on the most are ones that either I can really empathize with as the character, like me as a person can sort of see their struggles and see what they're going through, and sort of identify like stuff that's happening in my life that I can use to portray that character accurately, or ones that I can sort of just immediately see that an audience can empathize with, an audience can relate to, because I think those are the most important and meaningful projects, or ones that can reach a lot of people. So let's see. So I'm a senior, a second semester senior at Bard College in Annandale on Hudson, New York. It's a weird time to be in college with COVID and everything. I mean, I'm a theater and performance major, and all of the, theater shows have been canceled. We've done some sort of like Zoom, like monologue festivals, which have been really fun. But we miss the actual in person. And that was like most of my social life was doing the shows.
Are you dialing in, or are they making you stay on campus regardless of the fact that it's all Zoom?
Yeah, so I live off campus, and let's see, two of my 3 classes are fully online, and one is in person, which is nice. But they have the option to, like, if you want to go totally virtual, then you can do that.
So you were a full-time student, and then you took the summer to just do projects.
Absolutely.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, it's, and I've done some stuff, even just why I'm here right now. I was doing a short film that we filmed in Queens, just over the past 2 days. I mean, it's like, with nothing going on at school, I really wanted to do as much as possible outside. And then also just because I'm graduating, and it's incredibly nerve-wracking to just like graduate with a theater degree and then like try to be an actor. And so I think the way I've kind of dealt with it is trying to do as many semi-professional jobs as I can while I'm in school, so then when I'm out, I'll have those some of that footage to fall back on, and I'm just at this point trying to create as good of a demo reel as I can.
But even beyond the demo reel, this is like a fucking lesson for anybody who's thinking about doing this, because you're not finding excuses not to do it. You're just submitting to everything, and when you have time, you do it.
Yeah.
And that's the hustle that honestly will put you above the other people in your class.
We hope so.
So I don't know what they're doing, but I don't think they're doing this at this level.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you're coming into the city on a weekend to do a short film, and I mean, there's character signals in this that indicate that you're going to be sticking around for a long time.
One can only hope. Yeah. I mean, I have the time of my life. I mean, even when, I've done a bunch of short stuff, and some of the scripts are just like trash, but even when I'm not really feeling it, it's such a fun time, and I learn everything, or I learn something new every time I do a different project. And yeah, whether it comes out as just a couple seconds on a reel, or if I meet somebody who then can introduce me to somebody else later down the line. Everybody I've talked to who has tried to give me advice on like how to be an actor has been like, just keep plugging away, and just do as much as you can, and then hopefully don't stop. Hopefully somewhere down the line I can meet the right person, or they can see the right footage of me. And then, so you asked sort of like what I see myself as, or like what the dream is.
Yeah.
And I guess it's like, I mean, I want to be a professional actor. And I want to like, do, work my way up and do bigger and bigger productions. And, but that it's so hard because at school, they teach us how to be good actors essentially, or they try to, but they really don't help a lot with like the business aspect of it. So like I'm gonna leave and I'm not gonna really know like how to find an agent or how to put myself out there, other than just like stuff I've learned by Googling.
That was the
nowadays.
case with film school too. Like they'll tell you the technical stuff on how to technically make a movie, but anything that requires funding or business connections, it seemed to me like all the professors who also wanted to just be filmmakers, they didn't want to teach film, they wanted to be filmmakers. Anything they knew that would be really useful, they were holding all that shit close to the chest. Yeah, I think it's honestly just going to be connections and getting onto the right projects that end up places, because honestly, everyone I know that ended up with an agent because they were on a project that took them to some festival or some event that, some after party.
That like some of the agents saw or something like that.
Yeah.
Nice.
And anytime I've ever tried to be proactive in reaching out to agents, it never went well. They have to reach out to you.
Yeah.
I remember there was at one point some time ago, I went through this phase where I'm like, what if I just connected with them on LinkedIn? How stupid and naive was I?
What happened?
Ghosted, turned down. Actually got flagged at one point because if you get too many rejections in a row, LinkedIn flags you as a spammer.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's why they say
harsh.
This person's out of your network. Are you sure you want to connect with them? Yeah, it sucks. So I think the key is just to keep working.
Yeah. And hopefully it'll happen. I mean, I feel like all things considered, I'm in a pretty good spot, at least in the place in my life where I am. I mean, what else did I do? I was on I did like a true crime sort of documentary series, which was, it was, when it came out, it was really nerve wracking because I watched it for the first time when it like aired on actual TV, and it was really cool to like go home and we actually got to like watch it on like real TV and see it on like the TV guide and shit. But that was like the 5 minutes like leading up to that before I saw it was like the most nervous I had ever been, including like pre live theater performance, because I literally had no idea like what they had kept, and they ended up cutting a fair number of my lines, but I was really psyched to see that.
Your family watch it with you?
Yeah, they did, and that was really cool. That was really, really cool for them to see it. Because I think they too. I mean, I'm really lucky. I mean, they've been overly supportive forever for my, drive to sort of become an actor, and they've, whether it be financially or just like always being there for me. But I think this was like a step towards like seeing me as like, okay, maybe he can actually do this, because they're supportive and they come see my shows and they talk to me and they ask me questions. But then actually seeing me, on TV, I think they were like, oh, well, I think they had a bit, not that they didn't have respect for me before, but I think this helped.
Yeah. It's on a medium that they're used to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Have you considered writing projects for yourself?
I have, and actually, so like when I graduated high school, and I was applying to places, I was really considering myself to be more of a writer actually than an actor. And then I came to Bard, and for whatever reason, maybe I like didn't get into a fiction workshop, or for some reason I didn't take a class like my first semester freshman year. And then I just kind of fell out of the practice. I took a bunch of like playwriting courses, and now I'm finally actually in my last semester. I'm taking a film writing class, but yeah, it kind of dwindled. And then I think like in sophomore year, I just sort of decided that acting was where I had the most joy. But it is something that I have definitely considered. Haven't really done much with that, but maybe in the future, yeah.
Was the Rockaway Beach sequence really the worst day?
I think, oh God, the worst day.
Thinking
No,
about that now.
actually, no. The worst day was the very last day where we filmed right in the kitchen, because that day, so this is how, so my daily fractals like vibe. So I would get up and it was cool to be in the city because I hadn't spent a lot of time here. And so when I was here, I got to learn all about the trains and subways and whatever. And so I get on the train, and then from the train, and then and then I take the ferry here, and then you pick me up. But so that like 45-ish minutes from like the train and the ferry was like crucial, because that was like my memorizing lines time. Because it was like, and it usually worked, because I feel like with film especially, since there's not a lot of rehearsal process, I feel like, and with theater sometimes I tend to like over rehearse, but with film I like it because since there isn't a lot of time to sort of like really dwell on the text, I find that I sort of revert back to sort of my initial instincts, but I like that. And so when I would like memorize lines, I would sort of save it for the end, but then like from the moment that I got onto the subway, it was like a launching pad that just like put me right in the vibe of the character, rather than like memorizing it the night before or like, weeks prior, because then I sort of have to re-access all of the, feelings and emotions behind it. But so when we did the last scene, which wasn't the last scene in the movie, but it was the last scene that we filmed, and we had two other actors here, and Avis was here, and that one, I think I had been pretty solid memorizing for like most of the movie, but then this one I had like a massive chunk of text that for whatever reason I just could not nail down. And I was just I was also like, I mean, we were both exhausted and it was hot. Yeah. And my fucking like costume that I had wore every day was just like disgusting. And we showed up here and I was just like trying to get this fucking text, and it was this big ass like speech where Artie's just like going off about like jobs and like life and whatever. And it was like a very big like emotional sort of like thing, and you really get to see like the side of him. And I really wanted it to be like really good. And I remember we had like this scene with like, like the bread solo cups, and like Jan gave me a Sharpie, and I was like I like wrote down some of the lines so I could remember it. But then once you like write something down on a piece of paper and you have it with you, it's like impossible not to look right at it. Yeah. So then I was like, I can't do that because I had to look at other people. And so I think you decided, you like, I feel like you knew that I was kind of struggling. So you're like, okay, we're going to do your close-up last. So we did everybody else's. We did like the wide shot, and then we did the 3 close-ups of Avis and the other 2 actors. And then for the final like take, I think we did it like 1 or 2 times, and I was finally able to like barely spit it out after just like struggling through it for those 3 takes.
Yeah, it's interesting hearing that, because that was the first scene I wrote.
Really, that was the first. Oh, yeah, wow!
I was
That's so funny.
I was like dialed into sort of a Woody Allen heavy dialogue mindset that day I wrote that. That was in 2017. I wrote that.
Wow, that's crazy.
And it's also one of the first scenes in the movie. The only reason it was the last scene was because hard.
Yeah.
It was always going to be hard, and also the way, because of the pandemic, the way it was constructed was I only had it with you until I needed Avis. And then it was you and Avis. And then it
Exactly.
was you and
Sergio
the Russians.
and Leo. Oh yeah, right. And then Lana and Elena. Yeah.
So we were building up the cast bit
Right.
by bit.
Yeah.
And then
That was
yeah.
probably the right move.
But then also, like, I don't want to coordinate with 4 or 5 actors the first day because if it falls apart,
Yeah.
like, it's a waste of everyone's time.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to make sure we had the full movie before, as we
Yeah.
go. And so,
That one was tough. That was, and yeah, it was also like, I mean, we knew that it was like the last day of shooting, so we were all kind of like ready to just like be done and like have a drink and just like kind of party, or just like crash and go to bed.
we definitely had wine that day.
Yeah.
But
And
it's
then-
interesting too hearing you talk about how your costume was disgusting because the film I did before this, Death in Life, the guy Mike, who was the main actor, also I asked him to do the same thing where just wear the same thing every day.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. Like
Yeah.
it's an art house film, nobody will care. By the end of that, he wouldn't wear that suit again.
Yeah.
Like he just shelved it.
Yeah, I have it. So I was wearing like, I had like a light blue t-shirt and I had another light blue like button down that was open that I had sort of rolled up the sleeves, and then I had these like maroon pants. The maroon pants I still break out sometimes, but the top two, the button down shirt has like a permanent sweat stain like across the back, and then the light blue t-shirt has the collar sort of like stretched out. I don't usually wear it anymore, but every time I look at it, I'm like, I think of Fractals.
You know what the worst day for me was?
What's
Actually, it wasn't even the worst day. It was just the worst moment. I don't know if there was a worst day. The worst moment was walking from the parking spot across Flushing Meadows to the giant orb in Flushing Meadows Park.
Oh my God, yes.
It was
yes.
so hot, dry.
That,
There were no
oh my
water.
God, yeah.
All the fountains were shut off.
That was really kind of depressing. Yeah, it was really dry.
It was just
Yeah.
depressing. Yeah, I think the heat combined with the just depressing atmosphere.
We did a lot of walking. We had one, well, and then we had that whole, the ferry day was pretty fun, where we like took the ferry all up the,
Oh yeah,
the
it's my
whatever
favorite
that is, the
footage
canal,
actually.
and then we like came back and then we walked, and then we ended up back down like near the financial district.
Yeah, we took the East River Ferry from Lower Manhattan to the Bronx and back. That was good footage. I'm still trying to avoid cutting it.
Yeah. You got a lot of footage though. How have you like?
Dude, the first cut was 3.5 hours.
That's crazy.
So I'm trying to get it down to 2.
Yeah.
So
Now I'm trying to think of the worst. I'm trying to think of the best day. Well, the scene where I like totally freaked out and like
you
screamed.
were looking forward to that.
That was really fun.
You
That
were,
was
like,
really fun
really looking forward to that.
because I hadn't ever like really freaked out on camera before. I had like cried or like fake cried, but I hadn't like screamed. And yeah, it's always fun to just like scream after not having screamed for a while. Every sort of like residual like anger, depression at the world just kind of
I
comes
feel
out.
like it was such like so to give context to people because we're basically having conversations for ourselves and you're listening. It's how these
when
go
they see it, they'll be
sometimes.
like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah. It'll be retroactive. But we did all the basement stuff first. The basement we sort of converted into a set for his apartment, and it was super stressful for me at least because I was double tasking not just as the director, as the technician building all the equipment, but also as like I had to retool the set every day.
Yeah.
And sometimes
you had
3
a lot of
times a
work.
day. And because there's a set piece that evolves throughout the film. And having you freak out on the very last day that we were down there kind of put a nice little button on things.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was sort of our invitation to break the film out into the city. Which we spent the rest of the shoot for the most part traveling around the 5 boroughs of New York City and New Jersey, filming exterior scenes. I liked. I really liked the shot of you that we shot from New Jersey, from Weehawken.
Was that the one where like we see over the river and we see like the skyline? Yeah, that one looks.
That's
really
my
cool.
favorite shot.
Yeah.
That's the one I've been featuring the most.
Yeah.
I also cut out the Central Park scene as well. Not sure if you knew that.
Oh, the one with Jan?
Yeah.
Oh, tragic.
Yeah.
That was
a good one.
That was a good one. That was like, oh yeah, she was like Karen, right? And she was like,
Central Park Karen.
Yeah, she was like, don't film me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. The scene, yeah, the when I freaked out, and then I feel like that was like also like the only scene we did that day. So that was like a whole day.
That was like, yeah, that was a
like,
full
it was a
scene. Plus,
day.
then we popped over to Jersey, got a couple shots, and then went home.
Yeah,
and that was it.
And then there was that like, oh man, this is taking me back. Just being back here.
We can go borough by borough.
Well, there was the construction dude who applauded after I was like screaming at the sky.
Oh, the guys next door. Yeah.
Yeah, and then now I'm thinking about the.
Have you been listening to this podcast? Did I tell you what they did?
No, I don't think so. What?
We filed we had to put this up because their construction was causing bricks to come out.
Are you serious?
Like they weren't doing it like legally.
What the hell?
And so we talked with the Department of Buildings, and like literally like a few days later, the owner comes over. And he's like this big Russian dude, like Russian mafioso, and he paid us like $600 to shut the fuck up.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah. We took the money, but then we kept complaining.
Wow.
But like you'd understand though, because you can't see it now, but there's a wide gap up there where you can look into the next building. And then in the bedroom too, there were holes where you could look into the next building.
That sounds very not safe.
Yeah, it was like really bad. But they seem to be winding down.
That's
so good. Hopefully. But yeah, this is the same guys that were applauding you.
That's wild. And then there was the time where we had one of the riddles, and it took like 15 takes to throw it out the window and have me catch it.
Yes, I had the outtakes.
Oh, thank God!
On a timeline.
Those are probably really funny.
Yeah, you have some good outtakes. You also have one where you were jumping across some stream in Manhattan.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun. That was a good time. We were like looking at the Brooklyn Bridge that day, right?
Yeah, it was right before we went over to the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah.
We were in Tribeca. Yeah, there's a lot of good material where I'm trading up. Really, what I'm doing is I'm trading up larger intact scenes for some of the more memorable moments. So like one thing that wasn't in the first pass assembly of the movie was just random footage of you and Kate on the street.
Yeah,
I didn't include it.
Yeah,
and then I'm like, as you're having a voiceover in the basement, I just randomly cut to it at one point, and it just worked.
Oh, nice.
And then we cut back to the basement.
Nice.
And it's just like, oh, so that's what he's thinking about. Yeah. And for some reason, that stuff works better for the movie than some of the full scenes that we did.
That's interesting. That was really sweet. That was honestly just like, and it was so cool that Avis got to be in it randomly too, because the other actress dropped out.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then.
But it also allowed us to actually do better scenes than we would have done because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Apparently at the same time there was a filmmaker in London who was doing the same thing. They just cast the person and then said, "Hey, do you have somebody that you're close to that you could do these types of scenes with?" And so they cast the guy's girlfriend. So it seemed to be we've set a standard on how to make movies during a pandemic.
Yeah, no, seriously. I was thinking about that too, because everybody's like, how has COVID impacted you, and how have you sort of like acted during COVID? Like, that sounds crazy. But in a weird way, COVID like has really sort of like helped me out, because I got Fractals part because other dude dropped out because of COVID. I got the true crime documentary stuff because only really because they're a company that's based in New York City, but then they moved to Connecticut. Just the producer has a house in Connecticut. And I randomly saw a listing on Backstage or Facebook And they were like specifically looking for Connecticut locals. And then what else? And then I did I was in a play called Mad Forest that I did last spring. It was my junior year spring, and we had this production that we were doing rehearsals in person for, and then when March hit, school was canceled and they were sending everybody home. We all thought that the show was going to be canceled, and then they were like, we're going to try to do like an online show. And it was crazy because we like transferred the whole show to Zoom. We had like green screens all set up in our different bedrooms. There were like at least 12 of us in the cast all over the country. And we had this like programmer dude who like could switch like whoever's picture was like on Zoom, like whenever. And then we would like look off camera. So it was basically like film acting. And we did a live stream performance of it. And then that, because it was during COVID and because it was like the only like quote unquote live theater going on, it was picked up by this off-Broadway theater company called Theater for New Audience. And we did like 3 shows through them. And it got like crazy good reviews, and it was unbelievable just because of the circumstance and because it was like the only theater going on. So I feel like we're talking about it because obviously COVID has been so utterly terrible, and so many people's lives have been absolutely ruined. But in a weird way, it has kind of helped me out a bit.
Yeah, I was talking to Elise, the actress who kicked your ass in Red Hook, and she was saying the same thing. The COVID helped her.
It's
if you stay in the city when everybody else is leaving, you're bound to find opportunities. And
we've all been good. All of the productions I've been on have been really strict and very about COVID protocols and wearing masks up until we're fully on camera. I was an extra. I did like a background part on this show called The Gilded Age that's coming out. And that was crazy because it was like a huge set, and there was like I was like one of 50 extras, but yeah, we were all wearing masks right up until like the final rehearsal, and then all of the wardrobe people came out and we put our masks in these like brown plastic sandwich bags, and then we do the quick like 5-second take, and then we all come back and put our masks back on. And of course I've gotten like I can't even count how many COVID tests I've had, probably at least like 20.
Yeah, we've been doing them bi-weekly.
Yeah.
Unless I go into Manhattan, then I do them right after.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, even though we were out of pocket indie, we also supplied
Surely
PPE, did. In the form of gift bags, which my sister said was the cutest thing.
Gift bags of
sanitizer,
hand sanitizer, some wipes. Yeah,
they're like facial wipes.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's good. I don't know if maybe I got COVID like really early on. I've thank God I've stayed healthy through it all. But
we think we got it when it first because we were not feeling well for right around the time the lockdown started. For 2 weeks we were just having trouble breathing.
Yeah. But it's important, and it's important obviously when you're on a film set or really doing anything when there's a lot of people around to really. And I was sort of worried about how each individual project would the level of seriousness that they would take it. But I've been pleasantly surprised, and everybody's been really strict and really careful.
Well, I think nobody wants to be the bad guy in any kind of way with this industry because it's so easy to lose your rep.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember, there was this incident some years ago with they were making this movie that was like an adaptation of an Allman Brothers memoir, and they set up a bed on railroad tracks to film some sort of dream sequence. They were live railroad tracks. And this was a fully financed production.
Whoa.
And the train came, and one of the crew members got killed.
Are you serious? When did this
And,
happen?
Like 3-4 years ago. So
Oh
I'm
my
not
God.
sure. Maybe 2013, 2014.
That's horrible.
But the whole industry just like blacklisted the filmmaker,
Yeah.
and they're not going to be able to get anybody on their movie again.
Yeah.
So I could very much understand, like during the COVID era, if you're back in business, you got to be clean.
Yeah. Because it only takes like one slip up, one person not wearing a mask, and it's so easily transferable.
Yeah. All right, man. I know you gotta skedaddle.
I do have to skedaddle, but this has been really fun to just sort of reminisce, and I obviously look forward to seeing the footage. And
Still a work in progress, but thanks for coming out here to do the extra voiceover recording and to do this podcast. This is just an introductory episode. Well, hopefully at some point when things are up and running and you've seen the movie, you can come back on and tell me how much you loved it.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, man.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for visiting my YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification.